The government has revised some lockdown regulations. To discuss this, we're joined by ENCA political editor, Vuyo Mvoko. Good morning to you, Vuyo. It seems that everybody's dictating to the government now. It's lost its way. Whoever shouts with the loudest voice gets exactly what they want.
That's how it seems. I mean, if you go back a couple of days, wasn't it ironic that when the government was willing to bend over backwards for taxis, for example, it was actually Santaco that said, hang on a minute, aren't you undoing, the effort that has gone into the management of this pandemic already? So it does seem so. But, yesterday, all the ministers, in fact, that spoke at that media briefing, and in particular the Minister of COGTA, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, as well as the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola, were adamant that this is not flip-flopping. This is about doing the right things. And I suppose we should give them the benefit of a doubt. Remember, this is uncharted territory for everybody, and it may be easy for us, who are on this end, to cup and criticize, as some ministers would say. But I think the most important thing should be to keep everyone keeping their eye on the ball, so to speak. In other words, if we're talking about social distancing, we should look at the disadvantages or the discomforts and inconvenience that it brings to other people against what it is that we're trying to do. And if social distance has been proven across the board without a shadow of a doubt that it helps a great deal in the management of this pandemic, then that's where our focus should be. And it shouldn't, as you say, be about who shouts the loudest.
You say it's uncharted territory, but we can look at other countries, China, Italy, all those other countries across the world where that spike is just, continuing to rise, other than in China. As you say, social distancing works, and it's a policy of stringent rules that cannot be broken. It seems, though, that we are going to a sort of policy of appeasement over and above saving lives.
Well, incidentally, Jane, everyone has been going on about how China has managed this thing well, and the many lessons, no doubt, that have to be learned from their experience. But if you look at what has been happening overnight, there have been reports of the possibility of a second wave in China. There are places now which are going back to a lockdown where before those regulations had been relaxed a bit. So which then says to you that this is no time to lower the guard, so to speak. One of our leading epidemiologists only yesterday was saying, well, it is a good thing that government is going to move into this rapid testing mode right now, because he reckons the tests we have done up until now, if you look at both the spread at which this disease, how this disease spreads, but also the numbers of people we have in this country. The tests we have done up until now are tests we should have done in the first 2 days, which then suggests to you that we are nowhere near, the levels where we can actually sit back and relax a bit or try to appease many people. The fact of the matter is that the people we often refer to as hawkers should not have been in the streets in the first instance. We are reaping the rewards of what was sown, so to speak, because those people should have been taken care of in more decent and more meaningful way. But we're not there, so there's no point in dwelling on that. But it's worth pointing those things out in the same way that we have to point out that the reason we had people dying going to collect their grants is not something that should have happened had we done our work in time, long before this pandemic struck.
And also we know South Africans don't just go, oh, okay, that's the rule, I'm going to stick by it. Look at the many of the taxi ranks, they just say they're going to flout the rules anyway. How is government coming out of this now with what appears to me a bit of a mixed message, as you say, already easing the lockdown before it's even taken hold, and how are they managing the sort of new world of social media and comms?
Truth be told, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, the leadership has in very many instances the president has shown leadership. The Minister of Health has really done well in how he has managed things up until now. We can't say the same about some of their colleagues. Lots of room for improvement. But one hopes that they are really going to focus on the things that really have to be done. There's no time for, on the one hand, populism, the kind of populism that's going to win you, supporters or public approval on the one hand, or indecisiveness on the other hand, because this is not a box-ticking exercise. It's not about I did this, I did that. Everything you do has to work.
And cultural sensitivities, if you look at the relaxation of rules regarding funerals.
Yes, I mean, you have to be a lot stricter. Look, as I said, we are in uncharted territory. None of us has gone through anything like we are going through right now. So everybody has to make a sacrifice. So if it means that a person you loved so dearly, but unfortunately you can't go to their funeral, then that's what really has to happen. It's calling for, the situation is calling for extraordinary measures, and as it has been proven worldwide, you will only regret later. But more importantly, the price you will have paid by the time you realized how wrong you were yesterday will be too high a price to have paid.